give people another minute or so. Okay, well, I'll start off by calling the meeting to order. This is the annual town meeting in the town of Cornwall. And I'd like to start just by saying a moment of thanks to John Laporta, who is retired from the Board of Finance, but for many years he sat with me up at the front of the meeting for the annual town meeting representing the Board of Finance. Did a great job. And so I'm glad to see he's still tuning in. Thank you, John, for many years of service. And I know you're still busy doing things for the town. So
thank you. You're very welcome, Gordon. Thank you.
Okay. So then I'd officially like to start the annual town meeting by asking for a nomination for a moderator. Is there a
I
nomination?
move that we nominate Scott Cady as moderator.
Okay, is there a second? Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Vero. There's a second. Are there any other nominations for moderator? Hearing none. Is there a motion to close nominations for moderator?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, is there a second to closing nominations for
Second.
moderator? Second. All those in favor of closing nomination for moderator, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All those in favor of Scott Cady as moderator, say aye.
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 Unanimous. Great. So Scott.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We begin these meetings, I believe, usually with the town clerk reading the call.
Electors and citizens qualified to vote at town meetings of the town of Cornwall are hereby notified and warned that the annual town meeting will be held on Friday, November 19, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. remotely via Zoom for the following purposes. 1, to receive reports of the officers, boards, and commissions having reports to make. 2, to adopt the 5-year capital plan for the town of Cornwall as recommended by the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, dated and signed at Cornwall, Connecticut, this 20th day of October, 2021 by a majority of the Board of Selectmen.
Very well. Thank you so much for that. So the first item of business is to receive the reports of officers, boards, and commissions. Gordon, are you aware of people who need to make oral reports beyond what has been written here?
Sure. I think this is the opportunity again to review what's happened in the past year. 2021 was an eventful year in many ways. We have a wonderful town report here compiled by our finance director, Barbara Herbst. It has a nice picture on the cover of the summer's peach crop in Cornwall. And it has very detailed reports on the inside, starting with welcoming our new residents to town and a list of some of those people that we've said farewell to. And then on the third page, or actually the fifth page, we get into the table of contents. And we do make an effort, and we do have many people here that are that have been responsible for running the town in the last year. And we're not going to obviously read the town report, but we do have people here, and now's the chance for people to, at the town meeting, ask questions. And I would like to sort of follow the rough format that the town report has, starting off with general government. And I'll take it all the way down through to the financials, and then Joe Pryor, Chair of our Board of Finance, will talk about the financials, because that's really the only thing that actually has to be in a town report, is an audited account of how the town spent its money in the previous year. And so, again, there was a lot going on in town in the last year, and especially this is a good source of information for people to have a chance to read what town boards and commissions have been doing. Quite a few of these town boards currently have vacancies, especially for alternate members. So if people are interested in some of those serving the town, they can read these things and then contact the Board of Selectmen if they're interested in serving. Currently, we have some vacancies on Planning and Zoning, Zoning Board of Appeals, Board of Finance, the Conservation, Cornwall Conservation Commission, and the Wetlands, and Park and Rec. So anyway, if people have expertise or interest in those areas, please give us a call. So with that, I again would like to thank Barbara for pulling this all together, and would open the floor to questions. You can either raise your hand. John Berry, our assistant, is monitoring the screens, and if you want to use his a little function on the bottom toolbar of your Zoom that has a hand raise icon there for people that want to raise their hand with that. So so first I'd like to see if there's any questions for about general government. That covers most of the town boards and commissions. Are there any questions about that?
This is this is my first time moderating a Zoom meeting with such a large number of people. So do everything you can to get our attention if you do intend to ask a question or make a comment. Barbara?
I just wanted to add to Gordon's information that in addition to the audited financial information that's in the town report, by state statute, a report of our schools and our education is required as well. And that it is included, but it's state statute required.
Not seeing anybody responding to general government for questions or comments.
Okay, and again, if you have questions that come up afterwards, you feel free to contact us, and we'll be glad to do our best to answer your questions. So if there's nothing for the general government, one of our most important functions of the town is provide education for our kids. And we are glad to have our school board chair here, Emily Pryor, who I know it's been a busy time at the school, can answer any questions there. So any questions for Emily regarding that? Okay.
Yeah, not seeing any hands from where I'm sitting.
All right. Next, we have public safety and sanitation. I see John Laporta is wearing his emblem for the fire department. So again, it's been a very busy year for public safety, sanitation, trying to get through the COVID pandemic, which we've done a pretty good job at. And again, Sanitation gets lumped in there too, but it's been a busy time down at the old transfer station. And a lot of, quite a few changes down there. So, yes, John.
Yeah, Gordon, I thought someone was asking me the other day about the incinerator issues in Hartford and the cost and that sort of situation with the incinerator and how that all works. Maybe this is a time to very briefly review that.
Yeah, we could talk about that. Let's see, the incinerator that the town has brought its garbage to in Hartford for almost 30 years is reached the end of its useful life and will be closed in June of the coming year. So presently it's not working at full capacity. And at that point, most of the garbage that's handled by that incinerator from about 60 towns will have to be trucked out of state a long way to Ohio or perhaps south. So that should cause the price basically to increase of getting rid of our garbage by about, we're estimating about 30% over maybe 5-year period. For the town of Cornwall, we're presently spending about $30,000 getting rid of our garbage. So if we go up by a third, that may be about a $10,000 increase, which in the big scheme of things is not catastrophic for the town, but until we get a more permanent, stable solution, we're sort of at the mercy of a lot of things. And with the price of fuel going up, it's also obviously an environmental disaster to be trucking our garbage, hundreds of miles to get rid of it. So we are going to be looking at, ways to reduce the amount of garbage going into our transfer station. Like a lot of towns with more full-time residents now, we are seeing the numbers go up somewhat. So we are, that's one of the lists that's on the list of the Board of Selectmen to look at some strategies to reduce the amount of garbage that's coming in or going out of our transfer station, trying to increase recycling, start some composting. Maybe be looking at a pay-as-you-throw system where people would have to buy garbage bags, which has worked in other places, hasn't worked in some places. But anyway, so that is front and center, a crisis that's come home to roost. The Mira, which runs the incinerator, was not able to get an agreement to retool the plant, to reoperate the plant. And the other incinerators in the state, I believe there's 2 other ones, are about the same condition. So it's for 30 years, the state had a solution, which it currently does not have a comprehensive solution. So again, we'll be working. We started a little work group with our Region 1 neighbors to try to look at some strategies that might make sense out here. We'll be working with this Mirror group. We're pretty much committed to working with other municipalities on a solution because we don't want to be sort of hung out by ourselves on this issue. So that's sort of where it's at this point. John, I don't know if you had any particular questions. Other than that,
that was it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah. So any other questions about public safety, sanitation? Okay. Land use.
Wait, Phyllis raised her hand there.
Phyllis.
Yeah, I gather that all the recycled stuff will still be recycled, right? It's just garbage we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll still be recycled, although the international markets for recycling have collapsed pretty much in the last 5 years, as China is no longer importing a lot of the items that used to go, but there'll still be a comprehensive recycling program. There is talk, hopefully, of retooling some American plants to remake recycled paper. So there is, with a lot of these issues, there's some opportunities showing up too. So we are still thoroughly committed to recycling.
Good.
Yes. Okay.
No one else? Okay.
Well, thank you for those questions. Next we have land use, and it's been a busy year for land use, and a lot of activity in town. Are there any questions on the reports for land use? The printed copy of the report initially is missing one page from the Planning and Zoning Commission report, but the online version on the website has the second page. So that is one note there. Getting any other questions about land use issues? Okay. So then next is civic organizations. You can see there's quite a few listed here. One thing I might say about land use is the next sort of town meeting that we're going to have is a hearing on our housing plan that the housing committee, plan committee is working on, and that's going to be on December 8th. So that's sort of our next big Zoom meeting. And that plan again is available online on the website. It has some, I think, some innovative Cornwall centric ideas of how we can diversify our housing options here in town. So that's sort of our next thing. There is no report, I think. Not sure there. Yeah, there is a Cornwall housing report from the Housing Corporation. It's a separate group that has been working on the housing plan. So any questions for our civic organization? I see we have the library represented. I'm sure we have other groups. Margaret, thank you for a very, very good year at the library. A lot of programs, a lot of activity, keep our spirits up, keep social engagement in these pretty challenging times, but it's always good to have things to do to bring us together and learn things. So anyway, any questions, any civic things before? Okay, but anyway, thank you all for supporting those organizations that really make a huge difference in our town. So then our final category is financial, and Joe Pryor, Chair Board of Finance, is here to give us a little summary of our last year. It was financially a good year for the town. We wound up in the black again, which we have to do by state statute. But we did have a good year. A lot of it was also because quite a bit of property was sold. There was a pretty healthy amount of back taxes collected, which have to happen at the time of property transfers. So, Joe, take it away.
Excuse me. Thank you for all attending. In 2018, the Connecticut think tank, Yankee Institute, ranked all the Connecticut towns in terms of economic health. At that time, Cornwall ranked third from the top. I would argue that nothing has changed since then, and one could argue things are only better. I put together 6 quick relevant bullet points to illustrate. Our tax collection rate increased over the prior year despite the pandemic. The town ended up with a budget surplus of $379,000, of which $288 was assigned to next year's budget to keep the mill rate flat. Such assignments are frequently not utilized and end up being added to the rainy day fund. The unassigned balance, aka the rainy day fund, totaled $2.43 million, which represents 33% of the general fund expenditures. Another way to look at this is that we have 4 months of operating reserves. Reserves are critical for emergency expenditures, as we have seen after the tornado, and more recently when the bridge was washed out in West Cornwall. The reserve is also significantly higher than recommended by the state of Connecticut. Keeping this 4-month reserve is a major factor the Finance Board considers when determining the mill rate. The mill rate has stayed flat for 3 years with only moderate increases prior to that. This means that the growth in the grand list has matched the inflationary increases in the budget. This is the sweet spot where the town wants to be. Organizational support in the most recent budget was increased to address the increased demands brought on by COVID. And lastly, our bond debt continues to decline with the school gym bond scheduled to be retired in August of 2023. I too want to thank Barbara for putting together this report. It's a lot of work, and thank you very much. Any questions?
So applause from Anna Tamel there, but not a hand raised, I think. Anything? Joe, thank you. That was helpful.
You're welcome.
So last chance tonight to talk about the town report. And again, share it with your neighbors. And thank you all for those questions. Next on our agenda is the 5-year capital plan. So I will make a motion. The town adopts the 5-year capital plan for the town of Cornwall as recommended by the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen.
We need a second. Unmute yourself if you'd like to make a second.
So moved.
All right. I didn't know who that was, but
This is Janet Carlson.
oh, all right. Janet Carlson seconded the motion to adopt the 5-year capital plan. So at this point, any discussion on
Yeah.
the 5-year plan?
Yeah, I can sort of discuss a little bit. What this plan does is lays out the things that we can anticipate going forward. And some of these, we get some reimbursement from the state for being well organized in the plan. This is mostly things we do routinely. It doesn't cover some of our big things that we're considering, like say the West Cornwall septic system, because that will be paid by a bond. But we are optimistic that we will hope to come for a vote in the spring about that as soon as we find out what the funding levels are from the federal government and when they get their budget passed. There are other issues that are very important to the town that may not have a financial impact, such things as housing or Sharon Hospital or internet expansion at this point. So there are things that we are working on that don't get included in this. We do have a road resurfacing program. I'm not sure our foreman is with us tonight, but we go around basically on a 5-year cycle and try to resurface the roads to keep them up so they don't have to be totally redone. We've done most of our bridge programs under the guidance of Roger Kane. We cooperate thoroughly with the school and making sure they have money to do their capital work to keep their building and their technology in place. And again, the town funds the major equipment expenses for the fire department. So there's money in there for fire trucks. We are also in the middle of redoing a lot of the town buildings. So there's substantial outlays anticipated to do those. We are about to start redoing the transfer station. We have the temporary office down there now. And we hope to tackle a renovation of the town hall, basically do a maintenance and try to improve energy efficiency on the old town hall. That'll be our next big project. And again, there's a lot of highway equipment in there. The crew, we saw a few snow flurries this afternoon. The crew stands ready and we try to keep our equipment. We try to get good life use out of it, but we want to make sure we have equipment that that works and is in good repair when we need it. And so those are most of the things that we have in here that we plan for. We try to level these expenses out so we don't go up and down too much, but we sort of get at a steady rate for every year so we can keep basically all our infrastructure in good shape, maintained, usable, ready to go. So if there's any questions about anything in particular, I can try to answer any questions.
Again, if you'd unmute yourself, because I can't see all of the faces at this point. If you just raise your hand silently, I won't probably see it. Go ahead and speak out if you have something you'd like to say or ask.
I would like to say that the commitment to the town buildings has been greatly increased over years past. There's been a real effort to address some of the items that are needed on the buildings, and it's going to be really helpful.
Very good. Anyone else?
Bruce Bennett.
Yes.
Gordon, so is this supposed to be a budget for the town? You said there's a
No,
lot
this,
to
this,
include.
no, this is a plan, Bruce. We're not authorizing any expenditures tonight. But where this is useful is the top year will get, that will largely be our capital request in the coming year's budget, but it's only the capital section of the budget. So things like the school addition, or as I said, if we do something with the West Cornwall wastewater plant, that's sort of on top of this, and things like, say, social services and things aren't part of this. So this is just a plan of things that we can anticipate at this point, if we have a fairly firm budget number.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Great. Other comments, questions? Yes, I see Casey. Gary.
So my question is the transfer station upgrade in the upcoming budget, or is it in the current budget, or where does that fall?
We have what we call a capital projects fund. So things like the savings for the fire trucks and money for the transfer station are already in that fund. So that rolls over from year to year. So we've already appropriated the money to do the transfer station work. So this is looking ahead. So the money that we're looking at in here could potentially be used, say, for the town hall renovations. But the work, we're finishing up work on the town office, and the transfer station will probably pretty much use up a lot of the money that we've done. We've also renovated the West Cornwall Firehouse recently. And again, so the transfer station money is already been appropriated and is available for spending.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Someone else? I'm hearing no other questions or comments on the capital plan. One last shot. So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt this plan, and we have had our discussion. And so I would now ask for a vote. All in favor? There we go. There's the full screen. Any opposed? Do I see Lisa's hand there? No. Okay, any opposed? Any abstain? I would judge that the capital plan has been adopted by the vote of the people. Thank you very much.
Oh, we've got someone with a hand up too.
Where's the hand up?
David, is that David Bean or?
Go ahead and unmute yourself, please, and
Cadwell.
oh, that's David Cadwell. Yes, sir. What were you wanting to do there?
Oh, he might have been voting.
I raised my hand when it was time to vote. You have a more option up here. So I did that instead of looking at this.
Oh, all right. So you voted in favor of the 5-year plan. Very good. Thank you so much. Then we have no other business before us, so I would entertain a motion to, Leila Hawken.
It's the Lakeville Journal needing to know how to spell Mr. Katie's last name.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, because I'm signed in with my church bookkeeper's account because it allows me more than 45 minutes. My last name is C-A-D-Y, Katie.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I would
I make-
entertain, yes,
I make a motion that the meeting adjourn.
Lisa has made such a motion. Any second? I see John Laporta's hand went up. Any discussion for that? No, I don't think that's even up for discussion. So all in favor of adjourning the meeting? Opposed?
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, thank you all.
This is cumbersome, but it does work, and I appreciate all the hard work of the people who help put these things together. Have a good evening, all.
Okay, thank you all. And think about it, this is probably the 280th annual meeting of the town of Cornwall. Thank you all for being part of it. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.